Here we go.
Filled the air, didn't have to take commercial, nothing. And now we get to watch Todd Anderson do battle against Bryan Homberg. It's your first match. Good luck to you.
Looking at this Todd Anderson list, I can see I was right. There are multiple Ulamogs and no 15 drops.
Yeah, no 15 drops, no Emrakuls. It's in the sideboard this weekend for Todd. That's been kind of the talk now, is that people are kind of moving away from Emrakul in this deck. We are underway here in round number 1 from Cincinnati. Bryan Homberg is going to start things off with a Forest. He's going to play Glistener Elf.
And Todd quickly figures out that this is the nightmare scenario. You know?
It's an Urza's Tower along with a Chromatic Sphere. So we're going to go back over to Homberg. A Gitaxian Probe will bring Homberg down to 18. We'll take a look at Anderson's hand. You'll find 2 Grove for the Burn Willows. There's
no more secrets.
No, there's a Spellskite. There's an Oblivion Stone, another copy of Chromatic Sphere. So Spellskite obviously quite good against the Infect deck, but Infect actually comes to the table with a lot of ways to be able to get that off of the battlefield, especially after sideboard with cards like Twisted Image, Nature's Claim. So it's pretty good game 1, I would say.
Yeah. Yep.
You're happy to have that card game 1.
It's possible you want to just side it out for game 2, though.
I actually believe in that thought process of siding it out because they are bringing in so many answers to the card. It's not ideal to have because there's just no chance it's going to live.
Sure. One of the arguments against that is that you still have so many artifacts in your deck. Some of the artifact removal spells are still good against you.
This is true. This is true. The land for the turn is an Inkmoth Nexus. Glistener Elf is going to come across for 1 Infect, and fortunately for Anderson, he's not dead yet. Now, one thing to note as well here this weekend is Todd picked up a copy of Ugin, a little slow off the ground. His draw step for the turn was Ulamog, their Spellskite. One thing to note here is that he's cut the Pyroclasms from his main deck. The Pyroclasms are in the board. Now, Pyroclasm pretty good against Infect. Their pump spells obviously do a nice job of counteracting that, but not having access to that tool might make things a little more difficult.
Sure, but it only gets better after board, right?
Yeah, he's got some good tools after board. We'll get there in just a bit as we do see Homberg fire up an Inkmoth Nexus.
Now, it looks like Homberg's hand doesn't have a lot of action here, so it's possible Todd will have a bit of a reprieve.
It is a very slow start from him. There's no pump spells flying around. There's not a Blight Agent. I don't even think he has blue mana.
But it looks like Todd doesn't have his Tron in his hand either. So this could be a pretty slow, grindy matchup.
And, we didn't watch the match that Todd lost playing for top 8 at the Las Vegas Invitational, but it feels like, this is the kind of game that Tron can actually win because Infect isn't going nuts at this stage. A Sphere's going to come down here for Anderson. He's going to sacrifice that, get a color of mana, picked up a Forest, does not have another Tron piece or any way to find one. He's going to play a Relic, going to remove a Gitaxian Probe from the graveyard, so that's exiled. That plays a small role in things in the matchup because of Become Immense.
Yep.
For the most part, not a big deal, but it does get to cycle and get him a new card. But he's pretty far away from Tron at this point.
It's not looking good right now.
A Wooded Foothills here for Homberg. So he's found some blue mana. He can sacrifice that, of course, for a Breeding Pool.
We'll see if some of these 1/1 unblockables make the board or if he wants to keep getting in there with the flyer.
Yeah, so what do you like in this situation? You could play Blight Agent this turn. You could keep attacking with Inkmoth Nexus. I believe he's got a copy of Wild Defiance. It's a 3-mana enchantment, of course. That makes other pump spells better. You know what you're up against, and you know that your opponent doesn't have Tron. Which route do you think you would go?
Depending on the exact pump spells in his hand, he needs to set up a game plan for how he's going to win the game. And if he thinks the 1/1 unblockable gets in there faster, he'll do that. If he thinks Wild Defiance and then pumping his manland later to infect him from the air gets him there, he'll do that.
There is the Breeding Pool. So he's going to search for that, go down to 15. And again, a couple different routes that Homberg can go here. The one thing to note, again, because Anderson has his Pyroclasms on the sideboard, if Homberg tries to go wide and just plays a bunch of creatures, he's not actually going to get punished for that. There is an Oblivion Stone in Todd's hand, but he's a little ways away from that. But also, Homberg doesn't know that, so I'm kind of curious to see if he tries to extend and go wide with creatures, or if he keeps it kind of small. Yeah,
he might take the more cautious route. Playing a Wild Defiance here means he won't be 2 for 1 if his opponent has a Pyroclasm, which he doesn't.
All right, he's going to go the Defiance route.
There we go.
I think, on the whole, I like this line of play. I think because, again, Tron, you're so used to seeing Tron play Pyroclasm in some numbers. If you can try to play around that, that's probably ideal. Here comes Glistener Elf. Todd is going to block very quickly. Pump spell's not going to be great because Todd can redirect with the Spellskite.
But the Wild Defiance is going to pump his guy, so he's going to get to take down the Spellskite anyway.
Okay, so the Defiance is going to make the Glistener Elf into a Yeah, it'll make it into a 4-power creature, and then the infect counters will stay along, so no reason to even redirect at this stage. You're just going to lose the spell Skype.
And this is one of the nice things when you play against Tron with the infect deck. You don't have to worry about your life total at all.
Yeah.
The mutagenic growth, the fetch lands, the Gitaxian probes, you just pay the life for all of them.
Relic is going to get cycled. Ancient Stirring is the draw. Anderson will untap here. It is time to take a draw step. Picked up another copy of Ancient Stirrings. So he'll give Homberg a life, and he'll be taking a look at the top couple of cards here, see if he can find another Tron piece.
Yeah, he's desperate to find some Tron pieces here.
That's a top 4. Number 5. I think he found an Urza's Mine. But he's going to go with the Spellskite.
Another Spellskite.
Okay. I am a touch surprised.
Was there an Urza's piece in there?
Urza's Mine was in those top 5.
I'm actually very surprised as well.
And he's found another copy of Urza's Mine here.
Because that Spellskite does not... It only represents one turn of help. It's not a long-term solution.
Well, he does play a Mine. He'll play a Spellskite and pass the turn back. So he's a power plant away from the Tron, as Homberg is going to untap. He'll take a draw step here. Depending on the combination of cards that Bryan does have in his hand, he could get the job done with Inkmoth Nexus this turn in combination with Wild Defiance.
It would need to be a lot of pump spells. I don't think he has that many. I think he has multiple Blighted Agents in his hand. He seems to be cautious to play around Pyroclasm. So we'll see if he can sniff out Todd Anderson and find a reason to get that Blighted Agent on the board.
Yeah, the nice thing, being in the booth, obviously, is that we get to work with perfect information. We know what the probably correct play would be, but when you're actually playing the games and you don't know that your opponent does not have Pyroclasm in their main deck, you would play a different way if you had access to the deck list, which Homberg does not have right now against Anderson. Glistener Elf coming in. Groundswell going to target the Glistener Elf. You're going to Wild Defiance trigger, which means Spellskite's going to die again. But you mentioned it is kind of another turn of reprieve. It's not a long-term solution, but it's a solution nonetheless. And now here's Blighted Agent.
Yeah, Todd's getting him to burn through his pump spells without taking any infect damage himself. It might buy him the time that he needs. Yep. He drew the Sylvan Scrying. He's going to have Tron online, and now he can start going big.
There's a Scrying. That's going to search for the power plant. That'll give him everything he's looking for. So now it's time for Karns and Ulamogs and Wormcoil Engines and all of that stuff. We'll see if Todd does have one of the payoffs that he can cast at this turn. I believe he has a Karn Liberated in hand.
It seems great, but he might just be dead anyway.
Yeah.
Taps out for Karn, gets rid of one of the threats. There's still 2 on the board. There's still the Wild Defiance.
I actually think Todd might be forced to get rid of the Wild Defiance here.
Oh, I hadn't even considered that. You might be right.
Yeah,
yep.
That's what he's going to do. He's going to exile the enchantment. And now we're going to go back over to Homberg. And it's very important for Homberg to probably kill Todd this turn. Wild Defiance should not be in the graveyard. Have him place it on the card. It looks like a Vines to the Vastwood may have been the draw this turn.
Yeah. Bryan's doing, the basic math. Can I get him here? And I think he's short.
Might be time to pivot, maybe go after Karn.
I think getting Karn here is also a losing strategy. It just takes up so much time, and with Todd's slow start, you have to think he's got a lot of big spells in his hand.
A lot of payoffs in the grip. Well, he does right now. He has Ulamog, he has O-Stone, which Bryan knows about. So he does have a lot of payoffs, and he has accomplished Tron. The total mana right now for Todd heading into his next turn is 9. We're going to find out where these creatures are going. And it looks like they're going right towards Todd. You're going to get some pumping here with Vines of the Vastwood. That's going to be +4/+4. And then 2 more infect damage. Glistener Elf, of course, being a 1-power creature. Same thing with Blighted Agent.
So yeah, he goes after Todd.
8 infect now. Ooh, Ghost Quarter's in gigantic draw. Karn's going up. Going to take care of Blighted Agent. Yeah, what Ghost Quarter's going to allow Todd to do is actually... Oh, wow, he's playing Forest? Okay, he's going to go with Ulamog. Makes sense.
Yep, Ulamog's going to get all the threats here. They can stay back and block that Glistener Elf.
Yep.
Karn's taking over the game. It's probably just a wrap from this point.
Yeah, this is the appeal of Tron, right? If you can get to this stage.
Yep.
It's hard to get to the stage, especially against this deck, because it can kill you so quick, but Homberg's start was kind of slow.
Well, and you see Todd taking the Spellskite on that one turn, bought him just enough time.
Yeah.
You know, he has 8 Infect. One more turn, he would have died. He put the Tron together, he played his payoff spells, and won the game.
So it looks like perhaps the Spellskite was the correct selection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that Todd Anderson, the best player, would make the right choice, you know?
You're going to find Homberg conceding this game. No way for him to get through Ulamog and Karn. Todd Anderson's going to win game number 1 here over Bryan Homberg. Green-red Tron up a game over Infect. As we do take a look at the sideboards here for both players, we will start with Bryan Homberg. He's got 3 Nature's Claims, a Pithing Needle, another copy of Wild Defiance, 2 Dismembers, 2 Rancors, a Spellskite, a Distortion Strike, 2 Viridian Corruptors, and 2 Twisted Images. Craig, what do you like here from Bryan's sideboard?
It's tough sideboarding with Infect because you don't want to dilute your deck too much. But looking at it, you want to bring in the Nature's Claims, you want to bring in these Viridian Corruptors, you want to bring in these Twisted Images in order to deal with the Spellskites. You get the Oblivion Stones, you get his early Stars if he plays them. You know, so all of these cards seem good. The Wild Defiance, you saw how good it was in that matchup. Even when your opponent has the Spellskite, the Wild Defiance makes your guys just monsters.
Do you like the idea behind Pithing Needle perhaps coming in as well? Can shut down Spellskite, can shut down O-Stone. Doesn't shut down everything.
So you tell me, you are a big Tron player.
Okay.
Is that a card that you didn't like seeing out of your opponent's deck?
In certain situations, it can be annoying, I would say, depending on kind of how their draw lines up. You know, shutting down O-Stone in this matchup isn't great because it's kind of slow. Shutting down Spellskite can be annoying, but you're already bringing in a lot of answers. And I suppose preemptively shutting down Ugin or Karn could be worth it, I would say. But as you mentioned, with this deck, we're talking about Nature's Claims, that's 3. Twisted Images, that's 5. Viridian Corruptors is 7. Wild Defiance potentially is 8. Pithing Needle is potentially 9. I don't know if he's got 9 cards to sideboard out.
That's just it. You want to keep your strategy streamlined. You want to kill your opponent as fast as possible. And a lot of those cards don't accomplish that.
Because, you know, if we take a look at his main deck, he's got a Spellskite he could board out. Maybe some number of Gitaxian Probes he can board out. There's 4 of those, so that's 5 cards. I don't think you can board any of the pump spells. Apostle's Blessing is only okay in this particular matchup. Maybe you can board that out. But Spell Pierce has got some value in this matchup. All the pump spells, I don't think you can really... I don't want to say you can never board those out, but it's pretty difficult to do.
Sure.
So we'll see. There's a lot of options for him to bring in, but I don't know if there's enough cards for him to bring out. On Todd's side, you got 4 Pyroclasms, 4 Nature's Claims, 4 Rending Volleys, 2 Boils, and an Emrakul. Pyroclasm kind of stands out to me. Anything else stand out to you here?
No, I mean, the Pyroclasm is the must-add.
Okay.
We saw how good, you know, having an 0-4 that was just going to chump block, buying an extra turn was. If he was able to Pyroclasm to sweep 2 creatures off the board for 2 mana, it would have been even better. Nature's
Claim, okay in this matchup. Rending Volley, okay. Rending Volley, good against Blighted Agent. Nature's Claim, good against a card like Inkmoth Nexus. But when you have sideboard options that are so, I guess, thin, for lack of a better term, do you like boarding those in this style of matchup, I would say?
I don't like going too narrow.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I would focus on the Pyroclasms, keep my game plan in place, and, Todd picking up a game there, even if he loses game 2, he'll get to be on the play for game 3, which is a real big deal.
In this matchup, and in Modern in general.
Yep.
Playing first in this particular format is a very, very big deal. So those are the options available there for both players. And as I do get ready, we will quickly talk about the StarCityGames.com newsletter. It is your source for Magic Gathering news, where you can get the latest on the SCG Open Series, watch the SCG Open Series Match of the Week, which we'll have from this particular tournament, of course. You can receive exclusive deck lists and advice from some StarCityGames.com columnists, catch up on all the event results, and read an exclusive cardboard crack comic. Best of all, it is free to sign up for StarCityGames.com/newsletter for more information. You're signed up for the newsletter, right?
I read it regularly.
Good answer. Good answer. Still got his job. Don't have to get rid of him just yet.
Passed the test.
A perfect answer. For Todd Anderson, again, 26 Open Series top 8s. Actually, the last time that we were here in Cincinnati last year, he won with Infect.
There you go.
In Modern. And now he's playing against Infect to get his day started with Tron, though he is up a game. This would be a steal for him to win this round, because this is a really bad matchup.
Sure. And I think this goes to tell you how wide open the format is. When a player wins a deck and a year later he's on a completely different deck.
Yep.
Tells you that there's a lot of options out there. It's not like Tron has gotten significantly better over the last year.
Ulamog, definitely a nice addition.
Ulamog is a nice addition, but it didn't, to me, it didn't change the deck in a revolutionary way.
Agreed. I agree with that. No like new land searcher or something to find Tron more consistently or something like that. But Ulamog is definitely a nice addition. Rending Volley has been a nice addition for like your twin matchup.
Oh yeah.
Todd's got 4 of those. Some players have been starting to move towards Boil, which is interesting. I actually forgot that card was legal for a little while.
Just get them.
Oh, trying to.
Just, I mean, they want to play a game of Magic? No.
Not a good idea. Go somewhere else for that.
That's another thing. You know, Patrick and I each have an appreciation for the flawless win, the perfect victory.
I see. See, I didn't know that about you. Okay.
When one player wins while the other person has no permanence on the board, just magnifique.
Now, you told me that you like having interactive games, apparently, with your ponders and your preordains.
Sure, but no, I just appreciate how lopsided it can get.
Okay. See, now the truth comes out. We all have this in us.
You know, I can't stand the Patriots as a football fan. But something in me just loves it when they play the Browns and they run the score up to 60 points.
See, I see what's happening here. I see. We're bringing it back to making fun of the Browns. I see. You know, you could.
Well, it doesn't have to be the Browns.
Yeah. Well, you could have picked any other team, and you had to go to my team. I see what's happening here.
How many teams in the league are worse than the Browns?
Glistener Elf is where Bryan started.
Turn one, right where he wants to be.
It's where he's starting things. For Anderson, he has an Urza's Tower.
It looks like he's got a lot of Tron pieces in his hand, so.
Yeah, it looks like he has total Tron in his hand. What he needs is something to bridge the gap at this stage. A
Sure.
Pyroclasm, a Spellskite, something like that, because he does have turn 3 card. And it looks like he actually has turn 3 Spellskite, so that's very, very good for him. There's no guarantee that he's going to win.
Sure.
And actually get to Karn, but he has Tron, he has Spellskite, and he has Karn in hand. He has everything that he would want in an opening hand from this deck. And now we're going to go back over to Homberg. He's sacrificing that Windswept Teeth, get a basic Forest here.
Well, yeah, and it looks like Homberg has what he wants out of this game, too. He's got the turn 1 Glistener Elf.
Todd could be dead. There's an attack.
Give it to me, he says.
All right, I'm going to. Yep.
4. Another 4.
Dead.
And it's a wrap.
So, Todd got to play a land,
Yeah.
and now the game's over.
All right.
What do you think about that?
Clearly something needs to be done about insects.
Bryan Homberg is going to win game number 2 here against Todd Anderson. Infect and Green Red Tron going to game 3. Todd keeps a great hand.
Yep.
Keep it every time in the matchup. Didn't get to play Spellskite.
Didn't get to play a second card.
No. One whole. He was on the draw of the game. He did take a draw step.
Yep.
Very nice. Took a draw step. Played Nurse's Tower. Died. That's what some people don't like about Modern.
Well played, Todd.
So let me ask you this: does stuff like that bother you?
No.
Like when that happens?
This is Modern to me is Legacy Light.
Okay.
So if that happens some amount of the time, that to me is the sweet spot. It's right where you want it to be.
Okay.
And
So you're fine with that.
Obviously, it sucks to be on the receiving end of that. You know, you're just like, man, I had the Tron in my hand, turn 2 Spellskite, turn 3 Karn, like living the dream. I never even got the second turn.
Yep.
But how often is the Infect deck going to do that?
I mean, clearly it doesn't consistently do that because then it would have been addressed by now.
Sure.
But it can be frustrating at times. But for what it's worth, Todd has done that to people, so he can't even get upset. Unfazed. You see nothing. Just shuffles. I've done that to people myself. I just had on the receiving end. Also, he's in a pretty tough matchup. So players just shuffle like nothing even happened. Even saw Todd do bring it on with the hand, and Bryan did.
Well, yeah, it looked like Todd kind of knew he was dead before Bryan even knew he was going to kill him.
Sometimes you just know.
Yeah.
That it's just over.
He saw the look in his face. He was just like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
Show me.
Players going to take a look at their opening hands here for game number 3. Todd Anderson, Bryan Homberg, they're all tied up. Anderson's going to take a mulligan. We'll see if Homberg is going to keep his opening hand or not.
And that new mulligan rule, very, very beneficial for the Tron deck.
I like the new mulligan rule. I do. I think it's just beneficial for Magic.
Oh, no, I think it's a good thing. But if you're playing something like Burn, almost every card that you look on the top of your deck is going to be similar.
Yeah.
But when you're searching for very specific cards, getting that Scry 1 is way more valuable.
Anderson going to go down to 6 cards here. He'll be on the play for game number 3. Very important, so maybe he can get to play a second card.
Yeah, we'll see how many turns he gets this game.
At least 2. Gonna take a look at 6. Couple O-stones in there.
Looks like a Pyroclasm.
That's important.
Yeah.
He's going to scry now. He'll leave that card on top. Start with a Grove, pass the turn back. Yeah, 2 Pyroclasms, actually.
So he kept the all-removal hand, and he's hoping to just piece together the Tron and some threats later in the game.
Keep in mind, he did keep the card on top of his deck from the scry, and he didn't play Ancient Stirrings on turn 1, which leads me to believe that that's a Tron piece on top.
Yeah.
Almost certainly.
A land of some sort.
Yeah. Homberg going to sacrifice a Windswept Heath, get a Breeding Pool, going to fall down to 17. And we'll see if it's a Glistener Elf on the way. It'll actually be a Noble Hierarch.
And Todd gets to breathe a little sigh of relief. It's not all Glistener Elves all the time.
So I'm really curious as if Todd's going to Stirrings here, and looks like he's going to take a copy of Power Plant, if you're supposed to Pyroclasm that or not. I think that, clearly I think Todd would know better than anybody given his history with Infect, but
sure.
It's not an Infect threat, but it does generate mana, lets you play multiple spells in one turn, and does help your Infectors. And this deck does have a propensity to keeping 1-land hands as well.
Yes.
I don't know what I would do in that spot. There's Pendelhaven. That'll make Pyroclasm worse too.
Yes. And it looks like Bryan's going to wisely leave that Pendelhaven back to help protect his squad. So Todd got what he wanted, and he didn't get what he wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
He gets to cast his Pyroclasm with 2 creatures on the board, but he's only getting 1 of them.
There's Spellskite. I would be shocked if this lived. Truly shocked. Yeah, there's Nature's Claim. So, to me, this is another thing that I kind of find fascinating, and I'll get your opinion on this as well as Homberg takes his turn. Again, with a card like Spellskite, which is clearly very good against Infect, but it's going to die a high percentage of the time, like, are you comfortable just boarding those out? Like, if you're Todd in this spot, would you board him out or leave him in?
Well, looking at Todd's hand right now, he's depending on that Oblivion Stone to also get him through this. So it's not like the Nature's Claim would not have a target if he took out the Spellskites. He can't completely blank his opponent's Nature Claims. So I'm in favor of leaving Spellskites in the deck.
Okay. A fetch land here is going to search up a basic forest for Bryan.
And we'll see if Todd's just dead again.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, the way Bryan's reaching for his hand, I've seen that look.
Well, it looked like he had to become immense in his hand. 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, one more pump spell and it's possible Todd's just dead again.
Yeah. You see Todd taking a look at Pyroclasms, O-Stones in hand. Bryan hasn't seen his hand yet. No Gitaxian Probecast this game. There's a Groundswell. So that'll be +4/+4. Yeah, here comes an attack. Yeah, and if he's willing to go for it, he's got the W.
Yep.
There's a Mutagenic Growth. And now you're out of Rending Volley range.
Yep. And it's going to be a wrap.
Yep. And you can just see with Game 2 isn't always how things will play out, but you can just see in games like this in the matchup, it's horrible for Tron as Todd will extend the hand. Bryan Homberg's going to win this match over Todd Anderson 2-1. Infect will take care of Green-Red Tron. Homberg gets his day started off well for Anderson. He starts things off with a loss.
Bumpy road.
Yeah, it's a tough pair to get the day started.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And I also, like, for me, that's why I can see why you like to play something like Grixis Control. Like,